Like to welcome you all to week 8 of In the Bleachers. As we tape this, it's October 24th. We got out of Gillette by the skin of our teeth, and we're on our way to England. Before that goes, we got a couple of things that's been going on the last few weeks that I want to just touch base on. First of all, any of you to watch, we had a letter from Vicky Vermeil that basically beat up me and Coach pretty bad and wants to adopt this guy. And one of the things she said is that me and Coach are 600 pounds of dead weight around his neck.
600 pounds?
600 pounds, yeah.
No more than 550 maybe, come on.
Really?
That was a little...
the bottom line is she has some type of mental imbalance. She's been calling me all week.
So
I've reached the point...
This must be one of our YouTube...
Yeah, she's from Kansas. She needs a life. If all she can do is do it, but she must have called me 10 times this week. So
she's infatuated with you.
She's a nutcase with me. I think I'm going to be hiring someone to be looking out my window. And so we got that going on. We have a jam-packed week, so I don't want to take time away from that by getting into it. But next week I am going to read the letter that she did write since Coach wasn't here and we got it. Great. And then the other thing is, you remember me and Rich got into a big thing about his stepfather, Ray Lewis. And
friendly back and forth.
I asked if anyone had any information that he was involved in that murder that night.
You did. You called. You had a general call. Well, I watched the show.
Yeah,
I was eating my Twinkies and reviewing film. I heard what you said about it.
Anyways, I did get a tape in the mail, and I am forwarding it to the local district attorney.
Grassy knoll type tape. I mean, incriminating to Ray Lewis. Maybe.
Well, whoever was wearing it was wearing an Archie Comics mask, so it had the mannerisms, but. It's tough. I don't know. I'm going to pass it on to people who do it for a living. With that being said, guys, I will continue getting my kickbacks for not performing. So at halftime, I will be switching and the fly will come in.
All right.
All right, guys. We got to win, but it wasn't pretty.
Much different than I thought. I predicted a blowout, which a lot of people thought were coming. The offense, more than the defense, the offense didn't play very well at all. The Jets kept pace with our offense. We had the same amount of first downs, 26 each. They actually outgained us in total yards, 403 to 381. We did execute in the red zone a little bit better. After being 1-6 against the Seahawks, we were 2-2. So that was a little bit better. But overall, I mean, I don't know what to say about our secondary. I thought we would have fixed up some things, and the secondary just... It's Jekyll and Hyde because I believe our front seven is one of the best, and that back end is just not getting it done at the moment.
Yeah, it's hard to back away from anything you just said, and like you said, Dave, it was an ugly win. And having watched the show last week, you're right. You called for a blowout. You called for the Pats to win, but you thought it would be close. And
yeah, I said I hadn't seen anything to make me think they're capable of a blowout.
Yeah, and again, 10.5 points, the Vegas line. I thought that was kind of.
Does anyone know why Fly is on the floor?
We don't ask things like that. We just kind of check it out. He's been known about crawling around a lot of floors.
Yeah. Fly, can you give hi to the people at home?
Hi. Where's his mic? No, your mic's off.
Whose mic's off?
Malfunction's going on, but
we have an equipment malfunction.
Testing.
Talk a little bit more about the fourth quarter and our woes at the end of the game. We entered the fourth quarter with a 10-point lead, guys.
Hi, Fly.
And we only watched our team surrender the lead again. We were outscored 13-3 in the fourth, which is terrible. The offense had, again, what's up with our offense? Back to the offense. Another opportunity. We had the ball 5 minutes ago. Could have iced the game. Instead, we had the punt. Then McCourty fumbles it. We didn't even have a chance to ice it at that moment. The offense is struggling just as much as the defense at the end of games to get it done. It was the fourth time this season a game was decided in the 2 minutes or overtime. And this is the first time we actually won one of those games. So we're now 1-3 in those games.
Usually take those close ones, you're right.
Not just the defense is getting knocked for the secondary, but the offense needs to help out. It's complementary football, and the offense isn't getting it done at the end of the games either. We scored 2 touchdowns on a Jets defense. I was
going to say, because one of them was McCourty's 140-yard
Yeah, we scored 29 points and a safety, so 9 points taken away from that was 20. We scored 2 touchdowns.
Special teams did a lot of that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, hard to justify that. Although the secondary, I know we've been beating them up for 7 weeks here, and I got a chance to watch a lot of other games this past week while I had my time in the bunker. And we get our problems, but I watched like the Giants and the Redskins had a great game, right? and there's RG3 throwing a bomb at the end, and Santana Moss picks it up, and then he turns around and Eli throws one to Cruz, and there's another 80 yards, and there's two good safeties running 80 yards after a guy, and then flip it around, and there's two other good safeties.
No.
So I mean, the league's meant to score points. The way that the rules are written, and the way that the regular refs that are back are calling the game, it's hard to be a defensive back. I mean, you can't chucking at the line now. They say they give you a 5-yard chuck. They call a lot of that. I mean, especially late in the game when it's close, you put a hand on anybody, you're going to get a flag and a cheap penalty. So the league wants the teams to score a lot of points. We're doing just what the league wants. I don't know. Of course, this would be a lot different if that field goal went the other way, and we were talking about them going sub 500 for the bye or going into London.
Be panic in the
It's a
streets.
big panic, right?
Coach, are you familiar with the concept of Twinkie poisoning?
No, not.
Well, it's
Should I be?
basically when a guy fills his face with Twinkies for a week watching film. Because, as far as I'm concerned, you're delusional.
Delusional.
You
all
need
right.
you need some help.
I don't need
I-
issues. I have issues. I don't
You have issues, as do I. But the fact is, you could watch that game and say, "Well, yeah, they're lousy, but they're a sieve. I hope it gets fixed. They have a sieve. It's terrible. I watched Johnny Unitas show up in Gillette, wearing a Mark Sanchez jersey.
Oh, I know.
It was terrible. He had a good game. We can all say you called him a piece of garbage.
First half
Well,
he was that
well,
first half and the second half.
The piece of garbage almost took it to
That
us.
interception he threw to Alfonso Dennard, I mean,
Oh.
you can't really explain that one. I mean, but with the
He did. I don't know. You got his attempts completions. They didn't look bad to me.
to add to your point, I mean, he threw for 328 yards,
Yep.
which is remarkable for him. He also completed a career high 9 passes of over 15 yards. And that's kind of the exact opposite to me last year.
Yeah.
We were so good at not giving up the big play. This year, we're giving up the most big plays out of anybody in the AFC. We lead the AFC in passes, giving up a 15 yards or more.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
That's a great
I
point.
know that the secondaries overall in the league aren't great, but I just think we have a bad secondary.
It's been bad for a while. It's been bad for a couple
It
years.
just it
and
really
Bill says
showed
you are
up.
what you are, and if you're 32nd or 31st in the league,
It's unbelievable.
numbers are numbers. So
And well, I want to again tell the front seven, as we call them, or my man here calls them. I thought they played well again.
Very well.
Ninkovich,
great game.
They're
4
good.
straight
They're
games with
good.
a strip sack.
If we didn't have them, it'd be a little scary.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought they did well. I want to touch base a little on what went on at Gillette. I was there, as
You
you
were at the
guys
game,
are
right?
aware. Yeah, well, I mean, most people when they're at the game is because they got tickets and they went in. I was at the game because I drove people that had tickets.
Well, we used
And
to have
with
tickets
my
and stay in the
business.
parking lot too,
Yeah.
but for a different reason. But anyway,
But anyways, to make a long story short, so I'm out there right by the front watching. They have the big jumbotron outside Gillette, so I'm watching that, and it gets ugly, and then the Jets finally in the fourth quarter go on top, and I am telling you, it was a mass exodus. 15,000 people left during the 3-minute period. I mean, it was crazy. You would have thought the building was on fire. And not only did they leave, they were yelling stuff about the crafts and just nasty, ugly stuff. And then even when they went into overtime, Coach, they were all pouring out saying, "Oh, we're going to lose this one." I was ashamed to. Well, I wasn't ashamed. I was ashamed of them. They're pieces of garbage, to use Rich's word.
Yeah.
But
They are.
how can you? What are you doing at this thing? There are people that would like to watch the game that are real fans. It blew my mind that I was watching people leave an overtime game. Blew my mind.
Yeah, I'll tell you what they're doing at the game. They're at the game so they can post it on Facebook and be cool and have a thing with the thing. They're not real fans.
Checking
It's
in
getting
from
tired of
Foxborough.
me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I go to games and, I mean, people yell at me to sit down after a big play. I turn to them and say, "Why don't you stand up, buddy?" You know, I'm getting sick of these
Sit
Patriot
down.
fans and the way they act. I mean, they'd rather go to the game and have a glass of wine and eat a couple of biscuits than get into the game, you know. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's
it
so
just
good to hear young guys say that, man. I couldn't agree with you more. Because you never could get a shrimp down at the game. You couldn't get a glass of wine. It was just a whole different mentality, and you never left early. If you left early, you had to walk by all the people that you sat with, and we would give you a
Ridiculed.
hard time. So
Oh,
everyone stayed to
No, they did. They
you
leave
know?
early. We had the ball first. We had a chance to win the game.
Oh,
Yeah,
it-
look at the ball.
I mean, yeah.
How do you leave that game?
well, like I say, I was perplexed. And
4 o'clock start. They wanted to get home.
they wanted to
beat
get
the
home and beat the
traffic. I mean,
traffic. It was more important. And then I talked to the people that I had driven that were there, and they said literally it was like half the people were left. And he said you could tell because the upper bowl the cheap seats was filled.
Right.
The lower bowl
Right.
was empty.
They
the
checked in.
Shrimp eaters leave because they can go behind the glass too. In the 40s, you can like the red seats, the real nice ones. They can go behind
Yep.
if it gets a little chilly. And then you lose any advantage of having a loud crowd. Like, I think you had said something before we started filming it.
Oh, the crowd
Gillette's-
was out of it. by
Gillette's
the-
known
by
as one of the
fourth
quietest
quarter.
stadiums and one of the worst
yeah.
home. I mean, we win at home, which is perplexing to me that they can still get it done. But there's no home field advantage when it comes to crowd noise or
Done.
fan. I mean, Brady alluded to it last year when he said get lubed up before the game, joking around, just trying to get something into this thing.
Oh, and they tried
mean-
to take him to school on that, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Have a
it's
hard
just
time.
it's frustrating as a diehard Patriot fan, and I know you guys obviously are, and it's frustrating for me just to go to those games and have people around me yelling at me to sit down. I just want to go nuts.
Well, the bottom
you
line
do
is
that.
I don't think we
Well, I can't because then I'll get kicked
You
out.
get kicked out and you lose. You take
Yeah,
it forever.
exactly.
But let's not get that.
But- and they're doing face recognition now, so you will never be allowed back in here again. Basically, with all that being said, we do know that Belichick's team in December is not the team that it was in October.
Yep.
He finds a way of putting it together, and for one, am not giving up. And we do have a crummy division. The other three teams are tomato cans. My
Crummy
opinion.
conference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're in third place for crying out loud in the whole conference.
Yep.
One more win and we'd have a bye.
Baltimore
So-
reeling, who's above
Oh.
us with injuries.
Yeah, well, it's karma, buddy. People die, and then 15 years later, stuff comes back.
Fair enough. One other interesting stat about the game I just want to throw out there real quick. We rushed for over 100 yards for the fourth time this season.
Yeah.
We're now 4-0 when we rush over 100 yards, and we're 0-3 when we don't get to the century.
I would love to
There
see
it
them
is. There's a
rushing
simple
more.
stat. There it
I
is.
really, for a guy that loved watching Brady all these years, give me the ball on the ground. I like it. And with that being said, we didn't lay the ball on the ground again this week, right? Is that correct?
We
That was from the running back.
had one turnover, I believe it was.
Well, I mean, we had that one, yes,
Yeah,
but I'm talking about the
McCourty, that's
running
it.
back.
Yeah,
Team
yeah.
split
But no,
up.
the offense
Yeah.
did not turn it over. But what the rushing does, I think the big thing that it helps the most is the defense in the secondary because you minimize the opposition's time of possession by grinding out these nice long sustained drives.
Right.
You keep them on the sidelines and you don't give them the chance to hit those big plays. So I think that's where the
And if
rushing
there is
comes
a
out.
I couldn't agree with you more. If there is a downside to the pace that Brady can put out, like actually I watched the Baltimore game, Baltimore-Houston, and Flacco was trying to do, they even said they were trying to keep up with a Tom Brady-like pace. Well, that's terrific, but if you want to talk about ball control and time of possession, that goes out the window,
Yep.
right? Because now you're the Oregon Ducks and you just want to keep
Exactly.
throwing the ball
It's a tough fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
That part I didn't get. When we were running the ball all that time, we're doing a hurry up, but geez, we're going out of our way not to kill the clock.
Used to have clock killing Corey Dillon to do that stuff.
Yeah.
So now, maybe you need to lean a little bit more on Bolden and Ridley, and occasionally Woodhead.
Okay, well, guys, I'm getting ready to march out. And we have the Fab Four from last week. Coach, I'm going to tell you something. I was thrilled with you when I saw the results. You had been 1-7, and then you went 3-1. Oh, wait a minute. You didn't make your own picks last week. Oh, well.
So, luckily, I've got someone that has my back, Adam, who does a great job here for Merrimack TV. Stepped up and gave a good couple of picks.
Well-
Actually, 2-2, but I'll take 3-1 if you want to throw me a bone here.
Well, you did well in the Twinkies, and I'm glad to say that my Hostess stock shot through the roof
That's
last
for the
week.
roof, yeah. Sell Facebook, buy Hostess. Yeah.
There you go. All right, guys. So, do we got any specifics on last week?
Yeah. Well, basically, you guys did 3-1. Dave, you went 3-1. Rich went 3-1. Me and Adam went 2-2. So that really kind of puts us, puts you guys a little bit tighter than we were. So, Rich, you're leading overall 15-13, a sizzling pace. No, Dave, you've
And the
achieved-
Fly. I mean, me and the Fly are joined at the wing.
You and Fly have achieved mediocrity. You 14-14.
Yeah, there you go.
And,
I'll take it.
you
It
know-
beats the alternative. We're going to hear the alternative right now.
Yeah, it takes a strong man to be holding up the league like I am. 10-18. Yikes. 10-18.
Way to go, man.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty
You're
special.
doing it with a smile. All right, with that being said, we're going to go to play him and sit him, and I'm going to move out and just check both ways to make sure Vicky Vermeil in
Yeah.
the parking lot.
Yeah, watch yourself there, dude. Watch your
Yeah,
back.
it ain't pretty.
On that note, on to fantasy start and sit for this week. for quarterbacks. I just want to say, last week we did pretty well with the waiver wire pickups. Fitzpatrick and Freeman, Cobb, Gordon. If you picked up any of those guys, you did pretty well. But for this week, back to the old-fashioned start-sit. For starts at quarterback, Big Ben play versus the Redskins. Andrew Luck play at Tennessee. And I hate to say it, being a Patriot guy, but you should probably play Sam Bradford against this New England secondary. For running backs, definitely play Willis McGahee going up against New Orleans. Willis is going to have a huge day. Vic Ballard, nice plug-in. He's at Tennessee. And Alex Green, I think he might have some garbage time yards because I think Green Bay is going to be up huge over Jacksonville, and they'll be running the ball a lot. For wide receivers, another Bronco, Eric Decker, play versus New Orleans. Peyton Manning teams generally are very good off the bye weeks. Jeremy Maclin for the Eagles, play versus Atlanta. Randall Cobb, again, get him in your lineup if you didn't already. Versus Jacksonville, tight ends, Heath Miller, Dustin Keller, Kyle Rudolph. Good defense to play that's available in a lot of leagues is Green Bay, and a sneaky pickup would be Cleveland, home against San Diego, quietly with Joe Hayden back. They have a great secondary, and Phillip Rivers' favorite hobby is to turn the ball over. So that would be a good matchup. For sits, sit Cam Newton. Sit Cam Newton at Chicago. Chicago's defense is dynamic. As mentioned, sit Phillip Rivers. Sit Matthew Stafford, the chubby quarterback from Georgia, is just not getting it done. Sit Trent Richardson. You don't want to have him in your lineup because of last week he was in there and the rib injury came to fruition. So it's a gamble. Don't play him. Sean Green, don't play versus Miami. Steven Jackson. I mentioned play Sam Bradford. Don't play Steven Jackson versus our front seven. We have one of the best run Ds in football. Steven Jackson, season high on this year, only 76 yards. This is a guy who's accustomed to 1,000-yard seasons. He's not having a good season for the Rams. The tread on the tires might be completely worn out there. Steve Smith, wide receiver. Malcolm Floyd, Des Bryant. Don't play any of those guys. And a tough one to sit. You might want to sit Jason Witten at tight end. The Giants have not given up a touchdown to an opposing tight end all season. So
I've got bye week issues, so I would sit him down, but
it's tough with bye weeks and everything, and he's a household name. But you look at that stat; they haven't given up a touchdown to opposing tight ends all season. That's something you bank on with tight ends is a touchdown, because generally tight ends aren't going to get you to the big yardage total.
Right.
So that's where you really live and die with the tight ends. And a defense that you probably want to sit the Cowboys at home versus the Giants. Cowboys actually just lost their best player on defense, Sean Lee, the linebacker for the season with a toe injury. So probably want to sit the Cowboys defense if you're planning on playing them. And with that note, on to Coach.
Yeah, great stuff, Rich. I know last week it bailed me out because, as usual, and I think we were talking about it before we started, I like a lot of people, I wait to the last minute to make my picks. I've got all sorts of fantasy football stuff I do, and we get a little family pick-em pool we're in, and it's all good fun. But luckily, I had you list the stuff, and I was able to juggle a few people, and we broke into the win column against Joe Donnelly last week. Yeah,
Joe.
So
always nice to beat Joe.
Yeah. So all the Merrimack guys that hang out in New York City, I'm in a fantasy football league with them, and it's nice to win occasionally. So thanks for that. All right, so we are now joined by my brother Scott. Welcome, Fly.
How you doing?
Welcome back, I should say. And I guess real quickly before we jump into Fab Four for this week, we have a moment. What were your thoughts on the game last week? I know we've been to a few Jets games in our day. And,
it's funny. The last couple of weeks, and we got caught in Seattle, and they almost got caught again last week. Why in God's name are you going 3 quarters, no huddle, basically throwing off the opponent's timing and also wearing them down, which if you do it consistently, fourth quarter is when you really pay off. They all of a sudden go into a prevent offense, and they huddle. And they let everyone just rest and set the defense.
Yep.
That almost cost us the game in Seattle. It almost cost us a game last week. And the defense too goes into a prevent. They were man-to-man bump and run. Fourth quarter, they're giving them a 10-yard cushion. What are you doing?
Yeah, make a call one way or the other.
Yeah.
Don't middle fiddle it. It's interesting that you bring that point up because we were just talking about time of possession, and I think that's what they were trying to do. Like you said, they went into a prevent offense or whatever. Yeah. There's got to be a better blend, I think, when they can pull back and get to the clock-killing strategy versus we're just going to tie you down and go.
Well, bottom line is this. If you are a championship team, you have to have a killer instinct. Instead of trying to milk the clock, why don't you throw another touchdown? Yeah. So now it's a 3-possession game rather than a 2. Yeah. The 2 almost cost us. The 2, basically, we had a minute 18 to lose the game.
I mean, and at the end of the game, you're almost thanking them that they were running the football.
Yeah.
'Cause there was a time Stephen Hill was wide open on a third down. He drops that pass.
Yep.
He catches that. They probably score a touchdown, and we're trailing
game.
by more than 3 and have to score a touchdown at the end of the game. So I was actually thanking Rex Ryan for running the football towards the end of the game because, I mean, those guys weren't just – I mean, they were wide open.
Yeah.
It was
I caught
unbelievable.
some of his press conference when they talked about like his play calling in the overtime. So it was a handoff to TiVo, another handoff
To Green,
and
yeah.
then basically strip sack.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have been happy. Like, thank you very
thanks,
much.
Rex.
And then you look at the Seattle game. We were up by 13. They tried the same stunt, but we got caught that time. Seattle actually beat us.
Yep.
We were this close from going 0-2. I mean, that's ridiculous.
So with that, I guess we all feel pretty much the same. We're lucky to get out with a win last week.
Yeah.
So let's do the Fab Four for this coming week, and then we'll be looking forward to a bye week and rest up a little bit. So let's start with the big game in London, which should be kind of interesting watching Gronk walk around with one of those big black hats. I'm sure that's going to be the icon photo
Yes.
of the day.
Yes.
Also interesting, too, they're playing at Wembley Arena. And I found out that the night before the Patriots-Rams game is actually David Icke, who's a real new age guy, and he's going to talk about the reptilian agenda.
Nice.
So, it's a nice little mix of...
nice little lead into a football game.
Absolutely. So, Fly, what do you think about the Pats and the greatest show on turf?
Well,
Used to be.
If you brought up, is correct that they're having a concert the night before, the field's going to be a horrible mess. So, as long as they don't go into the prevent offense and actually play 4 quarters rather than 3 and pray to God you win, the Pats should kill them. But if they go into that prevent, anything's up for grabs. Even St. Louis, they should kill them on paper. So I have to pick the Pats, but I wish they'd wake up.
You're a homer.
Homely, whatever you want to call it.
Which would you
See,
think?
I respectfully disagree, my friend. I think the Rams were my surprise pick before the season.
Yeah.
They're quietly a very good football team. They have a great defense.
Great coach.
Jeff Fisher getting it
great
done.
coach.
He is a great
James
coach.
Laurinaitis, probably the most underrated and underappreciated linebacker in all of football. He's second in the NFL to Gerard Mayo, who
He's
leads
fast,
the NFL in
yeah.
tackles.
Yep.
He's also the son of a Legion Doom guy, so that's always good. So it gives him that extra edge.
Hawkerino.
He's Hawk's son.
But they have Chris Long, Howie Long's
Howie
son,
Long's son,
on the edge.
Hawk's son.
They also have Robert Quinn. They have a great pass rush, 2 good corners in Cortland Finnegan and the rookie Janoris Jenkins. Cortland Finnegan's one of those guys that'll just get under your skin and tick off whoever he's guarding.
Right here in a St. Louis pick here?
No, I think it's going to be tight, though. I think it's going to be a lot tighter. See, I don't think even with a good field on great conditions, even in Gillette, I would pick this to be a tight game. The only thing I think that will be to our favor is we've done an excellent job. It's actually been our saving grace and our wins. Turnovers. We lead the NFL in forcing fumbles and recovering fumbles. They are dead last in forcing fumbles and recovering fumbles. That's where I think the game's the difference of the game will be. I think a turnover or 2 will give us those extra 3, 6, 10 points, whatever we can turn them into. That'll be the difference. I think this one will be a tight one, like 23 to 13, 16.
All right, good call. And I'm not going to break my streak of picking the Pats every single possible time, so I'm going to pick the Pats as well. Next game is another game that probably brings a little bit of emotion out. It's the Miami at the Jets game. And Rich, why don't we start with you, because I pretty much want to save the last part for him, because he has some personal stories I'm sure he wants to camp. But
I'm probably going to – I hate both these teams.
Yeah.
I have friends that are Dolphins fans, and I hate the Dolphins. I hate the Jets more. So I hate to pick any of these teams, but I guess I'll pick the Jets. I want to pick Miami coming off a bye. I think they can get it done, but I'll pick the Jets. Not confidently at all.
yeah, no, and just to get through, I'm going to take the Dolphins, and it sounds weird.
You?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm going to take the fish.
Wow.
One, because I think I hate the Jets slightly more this year.
Yeah,
It's not a lot to hate down in Miami. I mean,
Once Shula left, it was really...
Shula's gone now, and
Marino's
soon
gone.
be dead. But I'll take the fish because the Jets are just reeling, and I don't even think they can beat them. Fly.
I'm hoping for a tremendous amount of injuries. I'm hoping
Tremendous
for
amount.
Tremendous amount. I'm hoping for everyone career-ending stuff. I'm hoping that the ambulance company makes millions just on the mileage from the stadium to the hospital. Mileage.
Wow.
Mileage.
It's a lot of trips back and forth.
Yep. But I got to pick I got to pick the Dolphins, and I'm going to say the reason why is because Fireman Bill, I hope to God he falls off the edge. And just, I'm sorry. I hate both teams.
What is his name? Is it Bill or
Ed?
Fireman
Ed.
Hopefully he's the first to go in one of those.
Yep.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you, he'd be tossed out of the game at Gillette.
Oh, God.
Because they allow him to get up on the stanchion, and he's running all over the place. You can't get out of your seat in Gillette. You're out of there.
They're either going to pull him off the thing, or the fans behind him are going to push him off. So either way, he's down.
Yeah.
So.
Nah, he's a real jerk. All right, so you took the fish. So we got a New York and 2 Dolphin picks. That's
I know, of all things. Jesus, I'm going to vomit.
I grab my glasses for the next 2. All right, we're going to do Atlanta at Philly. And I think I'll start with this. This is a game where I think you really see if there's anything to the whole, kind of buzz around the league that Atlanta's for real this year. And, Philly's got a lot to prove. It's at Philly, which is a really hard place to play. It used to be like used to be Veterans Stadium in Foxborough, with the 2 just nastiest, maybe the Oakland Raiders Stadium, or the Dog Pound, back when Cleveland was Cleveland the first time.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever really get back to the same rage they used to have. But in any case, that's a tough game. Atlanta going into Philly. I like it. I like Philly there. I like Philly making a stand and knocking Atlanta down a little bit and showing that we got a league parity. I mean, Pete Rozelle's vision is coming true this year, man. It's just unbelievable.
We're all mediocre.
Fly, how about you?
I'm thinking the same thing. To reverse that, Philly's got a lot to prove right now.
Oh, yeah.
Andy Reid's job's on the line. I mean, he basically threw all his baskets in Vic, and Vic has something to prove because he's done horrible. What did he get, 8 turnovers in 2 weeks or something?
Yeah, he
He's
tossed
just
the
been
ball up constantly.
awful.
Yeah.
And they're at home. And as we were saying, Philly's a nasty crowd. They're nasty to their own team more than anyone.
Yeah, Dave was talking about our fans being nasty walking out. We get nothing on that.
No,
When you fire their defensive coordinator, too.
Yeah, and he was like basically they should have fired the offensive guy. But I'll go with Philly.
All right, Philly.
I'm going to go with Philly as well. I think it'll be a very good football game. Both teams coming off a bye. I think it's going to be a very clean game. But this is almost a must-win for them.
Yeah.
And Atlanta, I like Atlanta a lot. I think it'll be a very good game.
Okay, last game is Washington at Pittsburgh. Guys, the lightning round. Scotty.
Washington.
Pitt.
And I'm thinking Redskins. I'm thinking Redskins only because Pittsburgh, I think they got beat up. They had a divisional game last week against Cincy. All those games you come out, feeling your aches and pains. Well, anyway, folks, thanks for joining us for one more edition of In the Bleachers. Next week we have a bye week, and what we're going to try to do is I've got a whole bunch of old tapes. When I was doing my review last week, eating my Twinkies, I found a whole bunch of old In the Bleachers shows, and we're going to try to stitch a few together and do a best of In the Bleachers next week. So join us then. Take care.